Brilliant people. Happy Samhain. I confess I used to call it Samhain, but we live and learn, and so happy Samhain. So, what is Samhain? I'm sure some of you know about Samhain. It was one of the points on the old Celtic pagan calendar, which today a lot of people just simply know it as Halloween. So I want to talk a little bit about what Samhain is, the long history of it, and what it could mean for us today. And of course, whatever it means for you is whatever it means for you, and that is fine too. So as I said, Samhain has a long tradition. So it started, where they really sort of know a lot about it is in the old Celtic tradition. So that was at a time when, at that time, in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, so it seems a bit odd for people like me who live in the Southern Hemisphere, but in the Northern Hemisphere, Samhain was at that time the end of their year, because it was the end of the warmer, lighter months as they started to go into autumn and the colder, darker half of the year. So Samhain was originally the end of the year, beginning of the new year. And because it was that point where the light crossed the dark, it was a time in which the veil between the worlds was considered to be very thin. So that was why there was all this, what in Halloween now is looking at monsters, but at that time, it was, back in the Celtic pagan times, it was a chance to speak to the ancestors, to speak, if you like, to get access and information from the other world. Because very old traditions, they perceive death differently. They didn't necessarily have, concepts of heaven or hell, or sort of nirvana, or whatever your personal tradition is. They simply saw that there was a world of the living and a world of the spirits. And the world of the spirits, came in different forms because it had different domains or kingdoms like the living world, but it was the other world. And the other world, because it had a very different relationship with time, which is why there's a lot of stories about when people go into the other world, that time passes very differently. And because of that different relationship with time, there was understandings and wisdoms in the other world that were different from what we had in this world. And of course, we in this world could benefit from it. Particularly in a lot of the old traditions, it was a time to talk to the ancestors, like those people that we knew or we were connected to in some way, who actually had crossed into the other world. So it wasn't just about talking to spirits, or spirits who belonged to particular kingdoms, whether it was the fairy kingdom or the angel kingdom or the demonic kingdom. It was a time that you could actually talk to people you were connected to who had passed beyond. And the interesting thing is that this tradition goes back a long, long way, probably longer than what you realise, which is kind of nice. It's a different relationship with time just right there and then, actually. So we know that because there are Neolithic structures, barrows, places, particularly in Ireland, that are actually aligned to the morning of Samhain. So it's like that light, when people entered those structures on the morning, the light would follow them and it would help them go into that space, connect to the ancestors, talk to the other world. And then when they returned, hopefully they would be bringing wisdom from those other worlds. So, whatever you do for your Samhain, I hope it's brilliant. And one of the things that you can do is set your intention. It doesn't necessarily have to be to access your ancestors, but to access what information or what wisdom would benefit you to bring back from the other world, from those spiritual domains into the physical. And by consciously doing, for example, like a meditation at that time, and just setting your intention to step into the other world, experience it, and come back. But it's simply like traveling anywhere. If you travel with a very clear intention, like I want to learn about what my next step in my career is. I want to learn about how to improve my relationships. I want to learn about how to be more of who I really am. Whatever your intention is, because I'm sure you've heard me say it before, it's all focus and intention. When you have a clear focus and a clear intention for connecting with the other world, you will find it easier to get information and bring it back, because, as I said, the other world is very different. It has a very different relationship to time, and so much of what we understand and so much of our meaning in the physical world is related to time. We set markers of time, like the beginning and the end of years and the changing of the seasons, because that's actually how we understand what things mean. And if you don't believe me, think of one of your favorite movies. Think of one of your favorite movies and think about what would happen, what that movie would mean if you lost the last 20 minutes of that movie, or last 10 minutes with some movies. Yeah, think of a rom-com, for example. They meet, they fall apart, or they lose connection, and they only re-meet again often, reconnect in the last 10 minutes. Well, what if that last 10 minutes never happened? Our meaning would be very, very different. So, by understanding our relationship with time and stepping through the veil that Samhain gives us, the thinned veil, into a space in which time is very different, we're able to access a different relationship with time. So whether that means that we get more of a sense of our own actions and consequences, because we get a sense of how that plays out over time, or we're able to access a time future or in the past that had a different relationship with the things that are important to us. All of these things can give us understanding, and that is some of the joy of Samhain. So have a brilliant Samhain, and of course, whatever you choose to do through all of that, remember that you're brilliant.